Violators, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. According to our brother brain Kagoro, the global system was designed to keep developing countries under control so they can continue to take advantage of the developing countries. So we should never expect those systems to work in the favor of Africa. And what are we leaving behind for the generations that are going to come? Are we going to continue to live the legacy of slavery, or we are going to fight for ourselves and prove to the world that we are not subhumans, we are equal, just like the way they see themselves? And that will come from us, because we need to fight for what is rightful ours. We can't continue to be sitting down to be calling on the same people that have used their systems to keep us backwards, and we have to fight for that recognition that we are looking for in Africa.
Will you worry about the names that you are called, or will you look at the higher price, which is there is no liberation that happens by permission. There needs to be more than outrage, a commitment to implement what comes out of Johannesburg. I stand on existing protocols. I do realize it's late in the day. Friends, the G20 social has focused in South Africa on fundamental questions that pertain to several things, but let me highlight three, since time is of the essence. The first one is that global development, national development, Pan-African development, in order to be truly transformative, has to center people, their priorities, their issues, and their aspirations. And the one thing that had been missing from African development speak is that a lot of time was invested in poverty fixing, in misery fixing, in addressing the consequences of behaviors of others, omissions perhaps on our part, whether those behaviors were what caused humanitarian, climate and other crises, or things that resulted in the cost of capital for us to be able to transform the state of our economies to be as high as the panel said. We also focused on matters of debt and financial sustainability. Note, I'm not using the term debt sustainability. The fundamental issue, as we heard from earlier panels, is that the entire global system was designed to keep the continent and much of the developing world in a condition of servitude, where any attempt to industrialize, any attempt to transform our economies to achieve any matter of economic or financial sovereignty would actually be scampered by the fact that if you rely on external sources, the cost of that money will be too high. If you try to leverage domestic sources, in some instances, it was controlled. The second thing that was made clear by the G20 or the social is the fact that we ought to have three conversations at the same time. The first conversation is addressing global inequity and inequality, the skewed or rigged system that was described on the stage. The second is that we have to leverage non-traditional, including our own resources, in order to develop. What are those sources? Number one, UNDP just released a report that says the township economy in South Africa is about 1 trillion rands. We know remittances are way larger than foreign direct investment or ODA coming to this continent. Number three, we know that people in their own solidarity economies are generating more value, creating more sustainability. Other women bailing out the state through care work or care economies, or informal, so-called informal sectors that are producing value. So what the social, G20 social, has placed on the table is that Africa needs to create the frameworks that enable it to create wealth in order to enhance its own ability to negotiate better deals, whether in critical minerals or better cost of finance. And that includes things such as the Sovereign Wealth Fund. We are in solidarity as the Open Society Foundations of the idea of achieving financial and economic sovereignty through the creation of wealth infrastructure that is contributed to by Africans and African resources. And we believe that the steps taken by bankers, taken by other African high net worth individuals and ordinary Africans to start contributing to kitties that will be applied in order to de-risk investment in crucial sectors and to address humanitarian and other factors, as well as to create intergenerational wealth and possibilities of transformation is key. Lastly, we want to echo the voices that we've heard across the G20 social, which are that the global economic system, the global financial architecture that has created ultra wealth without accountability or responsibility needs to be revisited. We believe that taxing the uber wealthy or the super wealthy, we believe that building more inclusive financial system and also building social infrastructure that enables people, healthcare workers, that enables caregivers, that enables ordinary citizens to actually thrive is key. Ultimately, Africa will not develop simply from getting more capital. Number one resource is Africa's human resources, that the ability to invest in skills. Otherwise, what will happen is that Africa will talk about critical minerals. But if you look at our universities, our technicons, research institutions, there's not enough investment in building the skills that will leverage and power future economies. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. So we stand in solidarity with what South Africa's presidency of the G20 has done. Place critical agenda on for debate by the whole world and seek to mobilize the rest of the global majority world into a consensus, into a conversation. It is not so much about those who were not here. It is about those who have been here. The world is run by those that participate. And it's high time we realized as Africa that the greatest achievement is to hear South Africa and the African Union speak with one voice. What South Africa has placed on the agenda of G20 reflects and mirrors what Agenda 2063 had put as legacy programs. If it ends here, then we would have failed. This conversation must go beyond Johannesburg, go beyond Washington. This conversation must be a conversation about the people of the world taking back their power to reshape the future of world economies, the future of world governance, the future of multilateralism and global cooperation. We stand in solidarity with G20 Social, and we remain committed to support the sovereign will of people who've been oppressed consistently under chattel enslavement, oppressed under colonialism, oppressed under apartheid, and now seek liberation. No one can tell you not to be free. No one can tell you what words to use for freedom. I want to leave you with this anecdote. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was called a terrorist for daring to say the system that made his people subhuman was unacceptable. What will your generation say? Will you worry about the names that you are called, or will you look at the higher price, which is there is no liberation that happens by permission. There needs to be more than outrage, a commitment to implement what comes out of Johannesburg.
We are holding on to the systems of these people that is not helping the African and is rather benefiting them. We don't expect these people to do things that will favor us. And whatever that we are calling for, as always, we sit in our unions and in our African meetings to be calling for these people to come and do here wouldn't help us as Africans. We need to devise a way of setting ourselves free, because freedom, like Captain Ibrahim Traore is saying, is something that we need to fight for. And we cannot continue to live a legacy of slavery for the children that will come or the generations that will come. We need to fight for a better Africa and break away from all the systems that these people created to cripple other nations. We have never come to the terms that all the systems that are here are not to the advantage of the African. And that is why anytime there's something happening, we see that we are the same people that will be calling on them to come to our rescue. Everything that they have done is to keep the African poor. So it is our responsibility to fight for that system that will be just for us. And that one will be for us to create our own system, our own models that will suit the African. We cannot continue to be using things from other people that do not suit the environment in which we live. Yet we are expecting to have progress and for us to move forward. That they never want us to develop, and that is why they kept all those systems, and we are all holding on to the system, believing that these are the things that are going to help us solve our problems. And we need to wake up from all of this, because even if we don't understand anything, let's ask ourselves, for how long have we practiced their systems, and what is the result we have achieved for all these years that we have used it? And that is why Captain Ibrahim Traore is saying that Africa, we need to have our own model, because that is the only thing that will be for the African, and that can provide African solution to the problems of Africa. We can continue to be holding on to things that we do not understand, like their system of democracy or governance, for instance. This doesn't favor the African. We don't even understand how the system is working. So the more we keep holding on to the system, the more it's helping them. How were we as Africans living before these people brought their system of governance to us? We were living so happily. Look at how this system is turning everything into in Africa. So until we get things that are done based on our own environment, will continue to be where we are. And that is why when we go to school, we study, and whatever we acquire isn't favorable, because whatever we are learning isn't African. So it cannot solve the problems of Africa. So at the end of the day, we go to school and we are not able to do anything for ourselves. It's just chew and poor. We can't transform the knowledge into anything meaningful, because the system is not designed to give you that knowledge of yourself and to bring out the ability that you have in you. So everything that they have kept in place is a systematic thing to keep you backwards and underdeveloped. Like one of their professors said, we claim that we have religion, these people are this, we have good governance, we have democracy, that we should wake up. We never have democracy, because all those things that they have kept in place is to make sure that you, the African, wouldn't rise to have control over your resources, and said that the day that we will have control over our resources, there will be war. And another one said that we should look at Japan. Japan was just like Africa when they overlooked Japan. Today, Japan is where it is, and they are no longer getting what they want. So Africa, they will continue to do everything possible to make sure that we remain where we are, so they can continue to be getting the raw materials in a cheap form, so that they can use it to develop their industries. And if they allow us to break through and break free from all the systems that are crippling the African from them, we will rise up and their industries will fall, and they are not ready to see that, and they will do everything possible to fight us. So we have to also understand the game these people are playing and rise up united to set ourselves free, so we can design a system that will be good for the African. We must fight for that better thing that we are looking for. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make African great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.